Well, hey guys, we're going to go ahead and get started. Appreciate you guys coming out. Yes, we'll reintroduce for you guys and for whoever else is watching. This is Mark and Sandy Goff. They're our owners. They also own Page's Music down on 65th and Benford. And I'm Devin Rose. I'm the general manager and whatever else needs done. So Mark and Sandy, wanted to start off and ask you guys, we get a lot of questions about, is this a franchise? Are we under a corporation? And I say, yes, we're under a corporation, but no, it's not a franchise. It doesn't seem like a natural transition for a lot of people to go from music owners to coffee shop and pub owners. How does that work?
We'll let you know.
Okay. It could be a failed experiment.
Well, yeah. So when Devin and I started talking about doing this a little less than a year ago, there's a whole backstory to that, which I'm sure we'll get into. But to answer your question about the business, we talked about opening this business as a nonprofit organization, and started thinking what it'd take to make that happen. And I don't know if it's just my nature or if it was God speaking, but the reality is that I already own a company that's doing well, and we had the capacity to do this, and so we just decided to do it. And so Hearthstone is actually a subsidiary of the corporation that owns Page's Music. It is a DBA, or a subsidiary of WH Page and Company Incorporated. So it's all under the same corporate umbrella, but obviously there's no connection from the public's mind to Page's Music.
Okay. So you alluded a little bit to the backstory. So it's like, what was the motivation for moving that way? And like, if you always wanted to run a coffee shop?
No. Well, Devin and I went through some interesting times at our former church, and while that was going on over a period of time, it got me started. I started searching, really started looking outside of the normal place for answers about faith, and interestingly, when I started looking on my own, looking at the Bible and what the Bible says about the church, I found that the kind of the traditional church model that we all know is really nowhere in the Bible. It's the more I read about it, the more I found that the churches were more community-based organizations, most of them meeting in houses, and really they were and they weren't necessarily led by professional lay leaders or professional staff. And as I started reading that, and then I was going through this journey myself about faith, it just started gnawing away at me that I wanted to be able to do something that was significant in our community, for my neighbors, and it didn't seem like what was happening in our traditional church model was making that happen. So as I started this process of trying to search and see what God had in store for us, it just led us down this path. And then Devin and I were on this path together at this church, and we just came to a point where we said, we've got to do something different. So one of the books I was reading, I think it's the book called In a Pit with a Lion on a Snowy Day. I think that's the book.
Yeah, Mark Batterson.
And in that book, they talked about this organization in Washington, D.C. that opened this coffee house. And that idea just kind of stuck with me as something that would be a cool community-based venue to start. And so, the idea just kind of started to germinate and grow, and then as things, like I said, as things progressed at our former church, it just seemed, I don't know if it was God speaking directly to us about what we needed to do, or if it was just kind of a natural progression of what I was learning. But it led us to this, and then the beginning of this. We've learned so many lessons along the way about about the business side, and about coffee, and about the pub, and about staff, and about government regulations. It's been an interesting journey. We've learned a lot.
Yes, it's been a trip. I was going to ask both of you, how did you felt like as this place has opened and progressed, and I mean anything takes on a life of its own as you're in it. How have you felt like this has been since we've opened for the, we've been open all 6 weeks, but it's like, how have you felt like it's been a reflection of your vision and your faith and your, what we originally thought it was going to be to what it is now?
You want to take that one?
Nope. No one asked me if I wanted to.
It was a general question. It was whichever one wanted to.
We had different visions on that, really, but I think what has come out of it that I've been surprised about has been, we've lived in Fishers we lived in Noblesville a few years, but Fishers maybe 21 years.
About 20 years,
there.
yeah.
And in the same general area, 5 minutes down the road, and what has happened with us especially, and probably people who've worked here, has been Fishers is a small town, and it's made it even smaller because there are people who live 2 minutes from us, 4 minutes from us that we've never had contact with, that now that's happening on a daily basis, and that's really neat. Like how people have blessed our lives by coming here, each week or every day to work. How we've met people, we've realized the connections we have that we don't even realize. I've always told my kids, you have to have good, clean living because it's all going to come back to you. Someday someone's going to know what you did. And just the connections between the employees here and the community. And I think another thing has been, we were thinking about reaching the community and just having a gathering place, but what's really been a blessing to us has been the people who work for us.
Yeah.
The people who've come in and the way their lives have touched ours. And
yeah, I was going to say the same thing. The staff that we've gotten to work with down here. It's been a really cool experience to we've hired about 25 people to run this business, and we didn't know who they were going to be when we started. It was just us and kind of dreaming about what we wanted to happen, and we dreamed about the space, so we made that thing happen. Then we brought on Ryan, our assistant manager, and it all kind of came together, but when it really got special was when we started hiring people and found people that just fit within our vision for what we wanted to see happen. People who would, first of all, most of the staff that work here are younger than we are, so yeah. It's cool to hang out with the younger folks, and they bring in energy and enthusiasm that's really fun. But just
hard work, so you kind of have to be young.
That's right. But just getting to know them, and we kind of thought that this place and what we had planned was going to be a blessing for others, but it's really been a blessing for us to be able to connect with those people. And then what Sandy said, our neighbors around this around the shop. Every time I come in here, I meet somebody new, and this environment just gives us the opportunity to stop. We're not rushing. We're sitting down over a cup of coffee or a glass of beer, and we're just talking. And I think that's something that's missing today. People are rushing so fast to get from one place to the other, and we really wanted this place to be a place where we could just stop, and connect. So that's been a really cool thing to come out of it.
So in the midst of all that, there's been some really neat surprises. Were there times that y'all second guessed this, like that you were like, all right? I mean, because I was doing a lot of work on this, and I was like, I just thought you guys were nuts, and it was happy. But were there times that you were like, maybe we got in over our heads? And how did you get through that? What made you decide to push through that?
You know, we've certainly had some surprises, and not all of them good. But I've never second guessed whether we should have done it, not once, because I really felt like it was the right thing to do. And I feel like, you know, and what we've heard from the people that have come in has been has helped to, you know, boost that confidence that we're doing the right thing. You know, it is a work in progress, and we, you know, I've never even worked in a restaurant until we opened Hearthstone. So, you know, I did.
That is an intense crash course.
Yeah, it was definitely a crash course.
It's a good thing. Everyone should do it at least once.
Yeah. I mean, restaurant work is hard work. But no, I've never second guessed it. I thought that from the get-go, I felt like, you know, we're going to give this thing a shot, and if God wants to bless it, He'll bless it, and we're going to work our hardest to try to make sure that it happens. And if it's not what He wants to see happen, our lease is up in 3 years. You know, we'll just it'll come to an end. But right now, I just don't see that happening. I think the community is responding so well to it, and it just seems to grow and take on the life of its own each day. So yeah, it's been fun.
Do you have anything on that?
I think you about covered it all.
What is your? We're kind of coming to the end, and then we'll allow some time for some questions. But what's your ultimate goal, vision for this place? You know, I'm not asking for not the 3-5 year plan, but it's like, if you felt like you were gonna meet mission, what would that look like? How would you know?
I think that we just know by the reaction that we get from the people that we connect with. You know, I'm a business person. Pages Music. I've done that for 25 years, and I'm very much about organization and planning. And you know, we make our plan, and we carry it out, and we measure it, and then we adjust it. You know, that's the way we do things. And it's been an interesting partnership with Devin. You know, because as we were talking about the mission of Hearthstone, you know, my business mind says, okay, we're going to have to do this, and this, and then all the people will come, and he says, well, wait a minute, you know, maybe we need to let this thing be a little more organic, and that was really good. It was really good advice from him, and I think it was absolutely the right advice, because what's happened is, I mean, this is the first real, what maybe you'd call faith-based event that we've put on at Hearthstone, and it's we've been open 6 weeks. But what we decided to do was just wait and see who the Lord brought to us, and it's been amazing who He has brought to us. I mean, we've met people and organizations that I didn't know existed in the community that are doing really cool things outside of what you would call a traditional church setup. That was your daughter, right?
Yes, that was my daughter. There's no children being tortured in the film.
You know, and our goal all along has been to be a conduit for meeting the needs of the community outside of the traditional church. You know, I've talked about the traditional church a couple of times. You know, I've been a part of it all of my life, and what I've found is that it is necessary. I believe it's absolutely necessary, but it's not sufficient to meet the needs of people in Fishers, Indiana today, because there are a whole lot of people who really aren't interested in walking through those doors because of all that they've heard all their lives and all that it represents, both you know, a lot of negativity. And so what we really hope to see happen here was that we would build this space, and then we would staff it, and then we would just open our doors and our hearts to what the Lord would bring to us. and he has really brought some really interesting people our way. You know, we've ended up. You help me with this list. We've had youth mentoring initiative organization. We've connected with them, and they've held a training session here. We had a young pastors organization come and hold their meeting here last week.
Yep.
We had a young adults ministry who some of the musicians that were here Friday night were part of their ministry, and they packed the place out, and they want to come and make this a regular meeting place for them. What are some of the others? I'm trying to think.
Well, I know there's multiple discipleship groups that I see throughout the week,
Right.
and those keep kind of growing. And then, we've kind of made some connections with some more organic, I don't want to use the word house church, but,
Right.
kind of just meetups. And it's been really cool to just watch those doors open. There's actually, and we have everybody from Catholics to Protestants to Greek Orthodox that come in, and we didn't manipulate any of that. Neither you or I have any of those connections. Like, our connections are pretty much in one group, and that's it.
Right.
And it's been cool. It's like when you take your hands off and just let God do it, you're like, okay, your plan in your church is way bigger
Yes. Yeah.
than what I had in mind.
Yeah. So where it goes from here, I don't know. Whether this will be the one and only, and it will just continue, or there will be more of them. I don't know. We're just trying to be open to what the Lord brings our way, and and then along the way, I think the most valuable things that we're doing is just connecting with people, and sharing our story one-on-one. And I think that's really where true discipleship happens. It doesn't happen in a speaker to audience role, but it happens across the table, one-on-one. And this is a really great place for that to happen. So really hoping that the Lord uses it and blesses it, and He'll take it and do with it what He wants to.
I had one quick thing, and then we can kind of open up for some questions. You were talking about the staff, and I have a little bit more interaction with them than you guys do, but they still hide a bunch of stuff from me. But no, the staff's been really cool. We've talked to them, and we're like, as we're training you guys, we don't just want you to be better baristas, bartenders, managers, food prep people. We want you to be better people. When you're here and when you leave and move on to bigger and better things, that's great. And the stuff that I've seen from staff has just been, I've worked in restaurants for years. There is a lot of them that the staff is very gossipy and backbiting, and and that was something we're like, we don't want that. How do we cultivate that environment that makes it warm and welcoming? Because guests that come in feel that tension. I've seen staff, move cars for each other, fix cars, share resources. This week we have one of our staff people moving, and a bunch of the other bartenders and baristas are going to go help them move. I've literally had staff members that knew that other ones were going through a tough financial time come to me, give their tips up from a certain amount of shifts to give to the other staff. I've never seen that. Years of working in the restaurant business. And I really believe that it's like when it comes from, it's like when it's founded on that foundation of love, that's something that's like, people sense that.
Right.
When they see the business putting its money where its mouth is, saying, we give back on each cup, it's like, that puts the whole thing in a different perspective. I really haven't worried about theft.
Right.
Because it's like, they understand that there's money going back into charities. And the staff has just been incredible, and I think that has been the foundation of this, and we didn't really control that. That's just been a huge blessing from God.
Yeah, I think the other thing that's been really cool to see with the staff is that they, I don't think many or any of them knew each other before they started here.
No.
And I'm telling you, every night I come in, there's several of them that are just here, just hanging out after their work shift, because they've become friends, which is that's been really cool to see.